Alright, so if you are watching this, you should have your quiz in front of you, so make sure that if you have version A, you are actually in the right video. So this is version A. If you have B, stop everything and go to the other video. So the first two problems here, that was the Khan Academy lesson we did about adding polynomials. So if you didn't finish this lesson, or if you missed both of these questions, you probably need to go back and do it again or just finish it for the first time. Okay, but starting out, we have 8r squared minus 7r minus 9 plus negative r squared plus r. So when I have that plus between my parentheses, it doesn't change the sign of anything to the right. So I can just start away with my groups. So I've got r squared, and I have r, and then I have just my regular numbers. So 8r squared, that goes in my first group. Then I have negative 7r. So be careful with your signs. Some of y'all switched them or did weird things and just didn't write them. 9 is also negative, so that goes in my number. Then looking at my second parentheses, we have negative r squared. So I'm going to write that as negative 1r squared. So that would be where one of my invisible ones are coming into play. And then we have plus r, so that's the same as positive 1r. So now we just need to add everything up. 8 plus negative 1 is 7, and that belongs with the group r squared. So make sure your variable is not in the exponent. It should be right next to that 7. Then for your r group, you have negative 7 plus 1, so that's the same as negative 6r. And then we have negative 9. Okay, so this should have been what you got for number 1. You got 2 points for setting up your table correctly and 1 point for getting your signs correct for all of your groups. For number 2, it's the same process. We're just dealing with q's. So we've got q squared, we have q, and we also have numbers. So we should have seen negative 5q squared in the first one, 6q in the second, and 7 as your last group for the first set of parentheses. Again, that plus means we don't change anything, so I can go ahead and write my second parentheses, so that's negative 1q squared, and then we have positive 4q. Okay, so adding all these up, negative 5 plus negative 1 is negative 6q squared. 6 plus 4 is positive 10q. And then we have just positive 7 left over. Okay, so 3 and 4 were over subtracting polynomials. These also were worth 3 points. The first point you got by rewriting without the parentheses. If you did this straight away in the table, I did give you credit as long as I saw the signs were fine. Okay, so we have f to the power 5 minus 5f plus 25. Now I see that negative sign, so I need to distribute negative 1 to everything inside. So instead of positive 3f squared, this is negative 3f squared. Instead of negative 12, I need to see positive 12f. And then instead of positive 9, you should have had negative 9. So putting these all into groups, we have f to the power 5 as my first group. I have f squareds, just f, and finally numbers. So we just have f to the power 5 in that first group. Negative 5f goes over here. 25 goes in numbers. Negative 3f squared goes into that second column. And then we have positive 12f in that third column and negative 9 in the last one. So the only groups that we need to deal with combining anything are the last two. So I'm just going to rewrite the first one. So we have f to the power 5 minus 3f squared. Then negative 5 plus 12 is positive 7f. And 25 minus 9 is positive 16. Okay, or 25 plus negative 9, same thing. On number 4, our groups were x squared, x, and numbers. So with this one, I'm just going to change my signs directly in the table, but I wanted to see you actually change the signs first to get the full 3 points. So we have 4x squared, then we have negative 3x, then we have positive 2, and the opposite of negative x squared is positive 1x squared. The opposite of negative 3x is positive 3x. And we don't have any other numbers. So 4 plus 1 is 5, and that belongs to the group x squared. The negative 3 plus 3 is 0. So that just goes away, and then we're left with positive 2. All right, for number 5, this was worth 2 points, and the lesson that corresponded with this was multiplying monomials. And what you need to know here is that we multiply our coefficients, so 3 times 2 is 6. X is my base, and then we add exponents, so it's 3 plus that invisible 1, so we get 4. For number 6, this was also worth 2 points. This was the lesson multiplying monomials by polynomials. So this one is just 3x to the power 4 for that first group. So it's 3x cubed times x. Okay, and I just wrote it out as I would have liked to see it on your quiz. So that second one is 3x cubed times negative 7. Negative 7 times 3 is negative 21, and then we have just x3, x to the power 3 left over. So altogether, I should have seen 3x to the power 4 minus 21x cubed. For multiplying binomials, we have like 4 different lessons on this one, and you could have used any of those videos to help. So you're either using the FOIL method, which is what I primarily use, or the box method. Both are fine, but if you're stuck on the box method, come and show me your paper. I'm only going to work FOIL. So my first terms are x times x, which is simply x squared. So that gave you 1 point. My outside terms are x times negative 3, which is negative 3x. My inside, so this is your third point, is 8 times x, which is just 8x. And then our last ones are 8 times negative 3, which is negative 24. Okay, so doing each one of these steps correctly and combining your like terms got you the full 4 points. This is the step that most people messed up because they did not include the negative for that second term. So it's negative 3 plus 8x, so that gives you 5. not 11. Okay, and then I just bring down my other terms. We have x squared. This is a positive 5, and then we have minus 24. Okay, so that's what I wanted to see for the first side of this quiz. On the back side, that's where I wanted you to explain one problem. So I picked one that I really liked from second period. And this one was over number 5. So that was when we had 3x cubed times 2x. So they said the first thing I did was I multiplied 3 times 2 and it gave me 6. And I did this because I had to multiply 3 times 2 so I could get my answer. The second thing I did was I added an exponent number to the number 2x, and then I added 3 plus 1, and it gave me 4, and that's how I got 6x to the power 4. So for me, this is perfect because she explained every step. She said that first we needed to multiply 3 times 2, so that way our coefficients multiplied to give me the 6. We know the base is x. She talked about adding the 1 for the exponent when you don't see it, and then adding 3 plus 1 to get 4. So every sentence here may not be perfect, but this is where you should be at this point in terms of explaining how you got through all of your steps. I don't really want, I did 3 times 2 because that's what you do. Like I want more information. So again, this one was very good, very clear because they started step by step explaining. It wasn't a general, you add the big numbers or you multiply the big numbers and add coefficients. This was very specific. So this is what you need to start doing with your paragraph. If you would like to get credit back on your quiz at all, your best bet would be to rewrite the paragraph that you attempted on your quiz and try and be as specific as possible with every step. Think about if you were explaining this to someone on the first time, tell them exactly what they would need to write or draw. So if you're doing numbers 1 through 4, talk about the table, how to set it up, how to pick your groups, be specific. And then the last 2 points came from the feedback on the bottom. So if I said something to you, feel free to respond. But that's the last 2 points there.